10th, and the Bel Air Town Hall Work Session meeting is now in session. I am going to call the roll, which will be very short this evening. Commissioner Chance?
Here.
Commissioner Taylor?
Here.
And myself. So, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve this evening's agenda work session of the Town Commissioners for, November the 10th, 2025, here at the Town Hall in Bel Air.
Thank you, Commissioner Chance. And do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion or changes to this evening's agenda? No? All right, in that case, Mike, we're ready.
It's a big group.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For approval of this evening's agenda, Bel Air Board of Town Commissioners Work Session, November 10th, 2025. Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Chance,
Aye.
and Chair Edding.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Thank you.
All right, and next we have the Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening. Just a few reports from me. First off, starting with the Neighborhood Traffic Management Program, some updates there. Our next meeting will be tentatively scheduled for November the 18th. Some updates, Route 924 in Idlewild. Madam Chair, you were a part of that discussion. The SHA has acknowledged our request for a study of that intersection. Should have something completed in about 60 days, 55 now since I got the letter from them. But the nice thing about that is the residents also had reached out, as we had asked them to other elected officials and school officials. So it was a force multiplier of the message, if you will. And as a result, SHA received letters from all the people that the citizens asked to write in addition to our help as well. So again, we'll see what comes of that. But for right now, they have accepted that to do a study. Kevin and I talked about the Howard Park traffic study, and as you recall, we had been delaying that because of the federal shutdown, so we didn't want the numbers to be skewed. But as it turns out, we were going to move forward with the study, and of course, the shutdown looks like it's coming to an end, so our numbers will not be skewed as we thought. So we should have that in play fairly soon. We'll get an idea of the impact that the changes and the additions and the construction work on Thomas Street has done there. The notice of violation, there were 3 violations which the commissioners may or may not be aware of. I know some, you may have been copied on some, but 3 in particular. The 500 block of Idlewild had to do with a residence that had a lot of trash and debris in the driveway and the front yard, and as well as a boat. The residents there have been compliant. The area has been cleaned up, and the matter has been closed, and I've been in contact with the original complainant to verify that that has occurred. So hopefully they'll remain compliant. The 800 block of Jackson Boulevard had I believe, what appeared to be an abandoned car. That was a result of an estate issue where apparently the owner of the car had passed away, and the PR, personal representative, lived out of state. Once they became aware of the problem, and after some work with planning and them, they have mitigated the problem, so we have closed that complaint. 300 block of Linwood also had to do with the boat. In that situation, that is in the process of being mitigated. The owner of the property, the owner of the boat, rather, is an elderly person who needs help moving the boat from point A to point B, if you will, and they are working with us. So we will close that out in the not too distant future, but we are working. So those were 3 that were brought to your attention. I know there's others we're working on, but those were 3 that were mitigated. Municipal Citizens Academy, we're going to discuss that under the tentative agenda, but right now we do have that plan for graduation for the 17th. Our residents that will be in attendance will receive a certificate of completion from you and the other commissioners for that evening. We've had about 10 or 11 attend that class on a regular and consistent basis, so it'll be a little more than the first go-round, but it'll be nice because we'll have a fairly well-attended meeting that night with the swearing-in ceremony so that the students will get a little more recognition, and hopefully the class will get a little more props and recognition, so hopefully we can garner better attendance in the future, or more attendance in the future, rather. Speaking with my DPW staff, as I discussed with you, Madam Chair, offline, Maryland American has done a number of patching of streets. I know that you had brought several to our attention that you saw, and we were also aware of several. We're trying to work out with Maryland American now that all patching, utility patching, will be fully repaired within 48 hours. You know, the temporary patch is put in play, the blacktop settles, and we're usually left with some sort of bump, hole, divot, what have you. That's rather rough on the motor vehicles. So that didn't fall short on mine or my DPW staff's attention. So we've asked Maryland American to comply and repair all within 48 hours. So we'll monitor that and see how that's going. Excuse me. And then not lastly, but one more. So I know you and I also discussed offline about Parks and Rec capital improvement. Typically, we submit a letter in the summer for the following fiscal year's Parks and Recreation capital improvement request. Director Magnus from Hartford County Parks and Rec lost his mother this summer. And as a result, like with anything would have happened, some things fell behind. And when I spoke with him about a week or two ago, it was actually the due date for when that was needed. So I verbally renewed our request for a Ma Trail spur that would connect the Ma Trail through Kelly Fields to Thomas Street. So that is most likely going to be an FY28 project. It is a priority for us in terms of capital requests with the county, so I did renew that with them. I think the commissioners are all aware, and I know I did send a copy to to Commissioner-elect Hanley about the Hartford County delegation meeting on Monday, December the 1st from 5 to 7. That will be their send-off, kickoff, if you will. It'll be held at the Leary Dendron at 502 West Gordon. And Genevieve Foley is asking for an RSVP if you all can attend or who may be attending that evening. And that RSVP will be due by November the 21st. And then just some upcoming discussion items for future work sessions so that you are prepared in case you want me to change these or add something or take something. So November the 25th, Laura Bianca Pruitt will do her sustainability presentation. That was originally scheduled for October 28th. We have rescheduled it for the 25th. She will probably be one of the first up in the presentations. I would anticipate a 20 or 25-minute presentation on that topic material. Also on the 25th, we have moved, Commissioner Chismore had asked us to move developers' rights and responsibilities, otherwise known as DRRAs. He's asked us to move that discussion to also November the 25th. So that will be the two items of note for that particular evening. Both could be potentially long presentations, so I only limited the agenda to two items. Next up, and going for the future, on December the 9th, will be our parking analysis amendment. It'll be a change to an ordinance. Director Moody is working on that with us. Also on the 9th, we'll be discussing the wind sail and flutter flags, Madam Chair, that you had asked to talk about. Once again, we'll have probably an extensive discussion on parking, and wind sail and flutter flags may not be as extensive, so a long and a short discussion, if you will. Also on the 9th, we've added condominium refuse collection. That'll be the discussion by Director Klein. We should have all the data that we need necessary to bring a proposal, or at least a discussion, to your attention and the other commissioners' attention for that night. And then after the first of the year, because we will be on somewhat of a holiday break, January the 13th, we will talk about cannabis and some of the changes that Director Small wanted to bring before the commissioners related to cannabis dispensaries. And also, I have added the public use of the town amphitheater, which is the town code 334-12 and possibly 334-2. And that's how the public may be able to use the amphitheater as well as amplified sound if we so decide. So those are some of the agenda items that you asked me to put on. Those are what's upcoming. I can certainly amend them, move them, but it gives us like a fairly non-long subject matter, if you will, and a long subject matter, so the meetings won't be too long, hopefully.
I think that's a great idea, since we've had a couple of 4 and 5 hour meetings recently.
That's what I thought, trying to
We
find
need to
balance. So
Plan a little bit better.
anyway, barring any questions, ma'am, that's all I have for now.
And the cannabis discussion is really discussing what is being driven by state law, not so much what the town wants to do, but what
Yes,
state
and-
law is forcing us to do.
Exactly, and there's some interpretations of tavern versus liquor store. So does a tavern, for example, qualify as a liquor store or not, which could affect our setbacks. So a few discussions like that in terms of the verbiage that we need to address, and Liz Thompson is looking into some of that. So it's nothing that we're faced with right now. We've got no applications on the book for dispensaries, so not like we have a lot of time to delay it, but it's nothing imperative that needs to be done now.
And I know as far as the wind sales, we did have one business come talk to us from the podium, and there was another business that reached out, I think, through email to me. I'm not sure if he reached out to any other commissioners, or, no, I think actually he called Kevin and
Believe he
wanted
did.
to speak to me. That was it.
That
And
was
so
it.
I did call and speak to him. I'll let the businesses that I am aware are interested in this issue know about it. And what I had asked Kevin for was, when we get to this point, I'd like to know, what does the county do? What does Aberdeen do? What does Howard or Grace do? I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to see wind sales up and down Main Street. There's really not a place for them, and I think it would be risky with, pedestrians that are
Right.
there. But up and down the Route 1 corridor, I see them every day. I mean, I'm not
For sure.
asking anybody to go out and, hunt those folks down, but it's what businesses do, and that's really our commercial area. So we'll talk about it in further detail when Kevin is here with.
I actually saw one in a residential community the other week,
I
advertising.
did too.
I think you and I saw the same one, Howard
Yeah,
Park,
Yes.
the roofer, yes.
Yes,
yeah.
it was taller than the house.
Yes.
And that's a no-go.
So-
So, yeah, I think they were contacted by Kevin. I did let Kevin's department know about that one, and I think they took care of that, but I was like,
My
Just
thought
shocking.
was, with this being December the 9th, this gives us a month, so if the gentleman and the other folks who complained, they have an opportunity to prepare to attend that meeting and listen.
correct.
So,
Correct, and I know there's, one of the businesses told me about one or two other businesses who were using the wind sale signs, and, he wasn't interested in like causing them any heartburn, he was just pointing out that a lot of the smaller businesses, it's cheap, it's, they think it's effective, I get it, so we'll talk about that.
very good. That's all I have, ma'am.
All right, so. Our tentative agenda for Monday's meeting, anybody have any questions for Eddie about any of that? All right, so our tentative schedule for Monday, the 17th, which will be at 7 PM here in Town Hall, will be the outgoing commissioners' parting addresses. So, Mary Chance, that will be your moment.
That will be it. Take off the last S on addresses, because it's just one.
So we look forward to that. Then we'll have the swearing-in ceremony of the commissioners-elect, and I will be one of them, along with Gavin Hanley, who's here for tonight's meeting. And then we will do the usual election of the chair and vice chair, led by Liz Thompson, who will make the motion for us, so everybody can think about that.
She'll call for the motion.
She'll call for the motion. Then we will have the presentation of the Municipal Citizens Academy graduation for the folks that are here. Are they going to have cake in the other room?
I laugh because that was an interesting discussion we had the other day. We thought we might, yes, be fiduciary responsible and have one cake. Half the cake would be for the commissioners and half the cake would be for the Municipal Citizens Academy.
I certainly have no objection. I'm just happy to be included in the cake because everybody always goes to the other room for cake, and we are left here with, business, so.
Yeah, we
And
will
no
have.
cake. So that'll-
Mike and I will have a cake. We do have, we have a gift for the students who are attending, but we'll do that Wednesday night.
Okay.
Rather than, it's too cumbersome to try and do it the night of
Gotcha.
the meeting.
Okay.
But the cake, interestingly enough, some sort of food was required as part of the grant. So,
Oh, how about that?
it
I like
is.
that grant.
But they didn't specify, so what kind of cake? So we'll have cake.
Cake, all right, let them eat cake, we'll have that. All right, any other questions about any of those items? All right, and then under new business, we'll have policy, is that an IE6, 1E6, signing of the checks amendment? Lisa Moody, I know that's you, checks
Yes.
are always you.
Yes, ma'am. So it's just a housekeeping issue with the election of
Right,
removing the 2 outgoing commissioners and adding the incoming commissioner.
gotcha. And any questions for Lisa about that? That's just,
So that will then have to be amended again when that seat over there is filled? Okay.
and then we will have the appointment to the Cultural Arts Commission, which we will be discussing in closed sessions tonight. All right, and then we come to Commissioner Liaison reports. There's nothing further from the Tree Committee. We will be meeting on Wednesday. That's about it.
The Elderly Citizens Group is having interest in, from some other residents, and so I expect that in upcoming meetings, you're going to be seeing some new names. I'm hopeful you will.
Great.
Rockfield's moving right along, and if you haven't been to an event over there since they've opened up, I'm speaking to the general public right now, that it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and it's being handled really well. They've did a great job, so that's about it.
It is really beautiful. It really is. And I think we haven't had any complaints about noise. I know they were shut, but since they've reopened, I haven't heard any complaints about noise. And I think the way they have redone, they're not in a tent anymore.
Yeah.
They took that into consideration when they decided where to put the electric for the
band.
for the band, and I think took care of some extra
Yeah.
soundproofing, that sort of thing. So they were very considerate of the neighbors, and hopefully that'll help that small issue.
I hope so, because it really is beautiful, and it's being used a lot.
It
Which
is.
is wonderful.
It is,
Yeah.
it is just gorgeous what they did there, inside and out.
The Economic Community Development Commission will meet on Thursday at 5 p.m. at the Armory, and the Appearance and Beautification Committee will meet tonight here at 7. So we're on a race against the clock.
We're doing pretty well so far.
We are doing pretty
Okay.
good.
Any other commissioner liaison issues? All right, staffing update, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't want to jinx us, but at the moment, we don't have any positions posted. We recently filled a couple vacancies. As a matter of fact, we had a new hire start today in the Department of Public Works, and we had a new hire start today in Finance with our part-time procurement officer. So welcome to Marty and Chris, and at the moment, knock on wood, we don't have any positions posted. We still have a couple jobs that we're working through at the police department, still doing background checking on a recruit or a lateral for that position, and doing some interviewing for a part-time position in the admin department.
Well, that sounds great.
Regarding boards, committees, and commissions, I know that Kevin was looking into whether or not Joseph Wojciechowski wanted to serve another term on historic preservation. The good news is that his term expires on November 21st, and the November meeting for HBC is November 20th. So he will be able to participate in that one if he so chooses, but his term will lapse before we have an opportunity to appoint him unless we get a real buzzer beater on the 17th. So that's not necessarily a terrible thing. I prefer that we avoid that when we can, but I would love to have a firm answer on him by the December meeting so that if HBC meets on December 18th, he can be still a member if he wishes to be for that. So we want to make sure that we got that squared away. And without a liaison currently, I would lean on the planning department to do that, since we don't have Commissioner Rutledge to track him down for us anymore. Yeah, so his term expires on November 21st, which is good because the next meeting is November 20th. If we could have an answer in time for our November 25th work session to discuss that so that he could be reappointed by December 1st, that would be ideal. And this is for Joseph Wojciechowski.
And the other one we have coming up pretty quickly is Dan Gray, who's an alternate for the Planning Commission, and his term expires on 11/16.
I'll overlook that one, thank you.
So if you could also, the Planning Department, reach out, I know that Steve is going to be back tomorrow. I'll send him an email about that as well.
Yes, if the Planning Commission might need him on December 4th, his term would expire before then, so.
Correct. So I think those are the only two that are really coming up on the end of their terms. And let's see, the tree committee, I will check with Graham Becker. We have a meeting on Wednesday anyway, so we'll check on him. His isn't until December the 5th, so we have a little bit of time, although not a lot. All right. Anything else about committee positions that are open? All right, on to the calendar. And we got a brand new fresh one that includes January. Time flies. All right. So it looks like everything I would expect to have on here. The only thing, let me check to see, it was missing for a moment. December 18th, I believe there's an MML Hartford Cecil meeting. And it was on like 2 calendars ago and then has dropped off. I'm not sure how or why, but we do need to put that on, that December the 18th at 6 o'clock. It's in Northeast, and it's the legislative meeting. And the 18th is also the day of the employee Christmas party, which is here and important.
Those two things will not conflict.
Those things will not conflict. So a couple of things that do conflict, though, and I had just made a couple of notes, is that well, December 1st, there's the send-off for the delegation. That's 5 to 7, and then we have a 7 p.m. town meeting, so that should be okay.
Right.
December 4th, there's MML in Annapolis, as well as a police graduation. So I am checking on, Christine checked, we don't need to attend the MML in Annapolis meeting. And the police graduation, I think is going to be the winner on that as far as I'm concerned. And then in December, I think it might be the 9th, that we have a meeting and Bel Air Parks and Rec has their Christmas party to which we have been invited. So and those times, as I recall, do actually conflict. Yeah, so I don't know if we can think about what we want to do. Do we want to send an emissary there? Hate to have nobody show up from the town, but we can ponder that because the times do you know what the time is on the 9th? I know it's a 5:15 work session.
The holiday party for Bart is 6 to 9.
Okay, well, we
Might get the tail end.
might get the tail end.
I hope we get.
Yeah, we'll have to look at our 12-9, we've got the parking amendment, the wind sale,
And condominiums.
and the condominiums, so, all right. Just bear that in mind as we firm up that agenda for that night.
Madam Chair, if you're trying to adjust for the 9th, unfortunately, the parking analysis and the condominium are both, they have a higher priority than the wind sale flutter flags.
We can move
So
those.
if
Let's
you-
just move those.
If you need to shorten the meeting, we can move wind sale. We can talk later.
Let's
But we
move
could-
wind sale to another date and
Okay,
see what we can do.
okay.
All right, that was, I think, the only couple of calendar things that I noticed. Anybody else have any other calendar issues? We definitely want to get that MML thing on for the 18th, though, Mike, just so we don't forget to go.
Got it, yep, I got the Cecil Hartford added on the 18th,
I wonder
the
why.
Bark Christmas party added on the 9th. And if you wanted to change the time of the work session, if you wanted to start sooner, you could do that too.
Another option for us
Yeah.
to discuss with Steve and Commissioner-elect Hanley there to see what
Okay.
schedules are looking like. All right. Anything else on the calendar? Got it all? All right. Are you going to do the Open Meetings Act training, Mike?
Sure, well, really, it's just a statement for this evening. I did send an email to all of you, including Commissioner-elect Hanley, who has already promptly completed and sent in his certificate, so thank you very much, Commissioner-elect Hanley. I appreciate that, who's with us in the audience this evening. And if any of you wish to retake the class, I always highly encourage it, but I believe I already have a certificate from both of you. And Mary, since your term is ending, you're always welcome to take the class if it's something that okay, you're good, okay. Just double checking. I wouldn't want you to feel left out, okay. But unless there's any questions about the Open Meetings Act, it's pretty straightforward, and I think all of you understand it rather thoroughly. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I might take it again, too, just as a refresher, but basically, we conduct pretty much everything publicly in a meeting, unless it's something that has to be done in a closed meeting because it's confidential, personnel, those kinds of things, so.
exactly. Those rules
And we're
often
now-
focus on closing,
Right.
and when it's appropriate to close and not appropriate to close. Yes,
And we're broadcast and recording, so
that's right,
we're out there.
yeah.
All right. And then the Public Information Act.
That was the same thing. There's no online class that I have to convey for that, so I did send around in an email the links to the different frequently asked questions and on the Attorney General's website, so you can peruse those at your leisure. And the biggest takeaway, especially for newly elected officials, the biggest takeaway is you have to remember that pretty much everything that you do as an elected official and as a public employee is and can be accessed through Public Information Act request. So be very conscious of your emails and your text messages, and make sure that when you do email and text, it's done on a town device, not on a personal device, to avoid any types of conflicts should there be a request.
All right, and the AG's website I have often used when I was practicing law and got these Public Information Act requests. They have an entire manual that's there, so they are very good at putting out information, and it's pretty easily understood. So pretty much everything's public, and so if you wouldn't want to see it published in the Aegis, maybe you should rethink what you're going to say.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. Thank you.
All right, and then the new commissioner's orientation and training schedule.
Which is pretty much up in the air. You know, Commissioner-elect Hanley, we can look at your availability once you're sworn in, and we can talk about that. And if there's any existing commissioners that would like a refresher from any of the individual department heads, I'm sure Town Administrator Hopkins would be happy to convey that. And if there's anything I can do to coordinate those schedules, just let me know.
All right, so we'll see what Commissioner-elect Hanley has as far as availability.
Madam Chair, I was hoping to, again, given Mr. Hanley's schedule and the expediency of the appointment for Commissioner Rutledge, to maybe get both folks on board and then have the class, just to, because really, as you all have, it's aware, it's usually 2 hours, 3 hours per director. And then we would very closely run the same class back to back. So again, I'm happy to do that, but I would prefer, if we can, to maybe hold off till we get the appointment and then do 2 commissioners at once.
Yeah, that makes some kind of sense, so
Yeah.
maybe we'll do that, because the 17th is a swearing in, the 19th, the application period closes, so then we'll be able to take a look at where we're going from there.
Thank you.
And in the meantime, if Commissioner-elect Hanley has any questions, I'm sure anybody'd be happy to give you some directions, some answers, some information. Discussion of commissioner liaison assignments. We don't have, unfortunately, Steve Chismore here to discuss it, and Commissioner Hanley's not here yet. I did send him the list and the dates and times where people are, where the groups are meeting, so he can look at his work schedule and kind of figure out what he's interested in and what is going to work as far as that. I know, Jake, you have expressed an interest in being the liaison to the police department, and then we have a number of orphans, since we are losing Mary Chance, as well as we've lost Jim Rutledge, so we'll have to take a look at that. So, Gavin, take a look at the list, look at your schedule, think about what you're interested in, and we'll have further discussions as far as who's going to take what. And I'm pretty flexible. I do love the tree committee, though, so.
Would it be okay if I just delay that discussion till the perhaps next work session or the first one in December?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
All right, so, staff comments.
I would recommend that
Go
we
ahead.
put it on the work session for the 25th, just because we don't want the committees currently under Commissioner Chance and formerly under Commissioner Rutledge to go too long without assigned liaisons.
All right. Now we're up to staff comments. So, Require, any comments from your department? All right, Lisa? Angela? Steve? Are you glad I'm not knocking on doors anymore? Just thought you might be. It felt like the inspection tour was, but I had a clipboard, so probably, it looked like one too, right, exactly, so. It will not be the last. It will not, I'm glad they mentioned it so we could know that it was going on and, get the street light fixed, and that's already taken care of, and, other things. They do. They do. They do. And you guys are very prompt at going out and addressing issues. I really appreciate that. Even when it's sometimes not our issue and we see something going on, you guys go out and check to make sure, you know, the appropriate parties are aware of it and are working on it, even if it's not our responsibility to fix it. So I really appreciate that.
Some of the items that were brought to my attention aren't straightened out yet, but that's because of individuals not wanting to cooperate.
I understand.
Stay on that.
I know you will. And the other thing is, I think people are just happy to hear that somebody is working on it, you know, and it's in progress, and it'll eventually get fixed, just to know that somebody is taking care of it, so I appreciate that. Lieutenant Farr, any comments? The chief didn't say he was glad that Gavin and I are out knocking on doors anymore? All right, no staff comments, commissioners' comments.
I want to say to Mr. Klein that I appreciate the work that I've passed on to you about the trash after the farmer's market. This weekend, boom, it was gone right away. So you did take care of that, and I really appreciate it because it looks so much better. Yeah, I appreciate that. But just in general, what your staff does, just like today, they must have had so much to pick up today. They were out there later in my neighborhood than usual, and I just happened to be outside and thank them for taking my 6 bags of yard waste.
There's a pretty big trash collection event this weekend. I think it was held by the Alliance and some other organizations.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
got a little bit out of control a little bit, so a lot was collected. Not out of control, but they did a really good job. So there was a lot of traffic pickup. So they were a little behind today.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's always a job well done, but thank you.
I have a couple of, not that, you want to go first? I'm good. All right. One was, I know that Jake, you and I had talked, and we had briefly mentioned during open meetings about doing a mailer for the elections. And I did get a couple of people at the door and saw on social media, like, there's an election, who knew, you know, where do you go to vote? People are often confused and think they go to their regular polling place, and it's just a town hall, and it's just one day. We don't have the, you know, early voting and all that. So it sort of just it was too late in the game to make changes when we were thinking of it, but having gotten a couple of people asking me about it, I do think it's worthwhile. I know Mike had looked at the cost, and it was maybe $5,000 to a postcard type thing.
Yeah, probably between 5 and 10,000,
Okay,
some less than 10 though.
okay. I think it's probably worth the money to do. I'm curious, first of all, to know if Aberdeen or Havre de Grace do it at all for their municipal elections. I think people getting touched by mail really does get it on their, you know, calendar. I was even thinking one of the things we could do, besides the mailing a sample ballot, which you can't do until the filing deadline, is to also maybe put something in with the sewer bill, the 2 sewer bills before the election, the recycling calendar that goes out. Those are things that people open. I know a lot of the sewer bills go electronically, because mine does.
Yes, but the other downside is they go to, excuse me, owners of the property, not necessarily residents,
True,
so tenants.
true,
They'll go to owners.
true.
So
But you
you're-
could be a tenant, right? You could be a tenant and be a voter and not be the owner. But it might still get like a lot of people. But this is just like
Sure.
thoughts.
Sure.
And the same thing for the recycling calendar, you know, that we could stick it. Right, but I think it would be good to just say, hey, there's an election coming up. It's going to be November the 4th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Town Hall. If you're a registered state voter, you can vote. And I think that's the other thing. I think people think maybe they're not registered as a town voter. They don't understand that if they're registered to vote, they're registered. And so those couple of things, and I know a lot of people were like, where do I go to vote? That's and I get why that's confusing. So anyway, just to try to, you know, increase voter turnout. And since I heard it and saw it, I heard it from a couple of people at the door, I figure there's probably more people like that I didn't speak to.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have a chunk of change bookmarked for, I guess that would be the
27.
FY27 budget, or 28, it would be FY28, right? Because that's in the latter half of 2027. Just to have a chunk of change bookmarked for some sort of electoral outreach. I tend to favor the sample ballot because I think that that gives people, you've got what, when, where, and who, and I think that that sticks in people's minds, and it's probably better to do it closer to the election. Now, if we can get away with doing both, that's even better than just one. But I definitely lean in favor of the sample ballot. I think that when people get that from the Board of Elections for their primaries and their general elections regularly scheduled in the midterm and presidential elections, I think that makes a difference. And my hope is that it would make a difference if we started doing it here.
And my vote was for both.
Yes.
Too, was to put it in with the recycling calendar or sewer bill, something, and, as like the early notice, and then to do the ballot, because people get mail, but it doesn't necessarily tell them who all the candidates are.
Right.
So you want to have a sample ballot so people can say, hey, let me look into these folks that are running and see who deserves my vote. So I'm, thinking we should plan for that in budgets to come. The other thing that I had as a comment this evening was that I got so much traffic issues, complaints at the door. It was just like overwhelming. Speeding, too much traffic, just all kinds of things. And I know we're looking at the Howard Park traffic study, but the problem with traffic is it's like a balloon. You squeeze it here, comes out over there. Like, maybe we need to take a more global look at, what we're doing, where our pain points are. I'm not sure, you'll never be able to solve it, but it was really, people are so upset that they live in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. And I was standing there on that man's porch, and he said traffic's going by at 50 miles an hour, and I think he was right. It really was. So, I understand we have all this traffic. It's got to go somewhere, but I also understand that the residents are not happy about it. And maybe we need more of a global program, too, to work with the state, because somebody also asked me recently about what were we doing with Leeway and Main Street, where that car there was an accident and the car actually flipped over. We need like a big picture and maybe some kind of a program that we're going to do to try to alleviate these problems.
That was and has been one of my primary pain points for me. And State Highways did walk the intersection with this. I don't necessarily agree with their metrics, because metrics, I get it, but there's also common sense application for those of us who've lived here our lives and know what happens with that particular roadway. Steve and I and the NTMP are on top of it, trying to figure out what the next best solutions would be there, but it hasn't left our radar. We're definitely on top of it. It's just we don't know what the answer is for us or what State Highways will let us do.
And that's what I explained to people. I was like, State Highways doesn't even want us like replacing worn out markings and
Yeah.
stuff. We can't touch their roads, so we can't do anything. But we have gotten some positive response from them on the intersection where the people complained, some elected representatives complained, and they're going to at least take a look at it. So that's something.
Eddie, I think you even actually requested that they put down the speed cushions right there in front of the Armory, didn't you not? For that same intersection.
And they said no?
I don't believe we got a response.
Okay.
Not sure that was high on their acceptance of ideas.
I get it.
We do have their
problematic.
attention. They have been responsive to
That
us.
is great.
It's
That is
just
great.
whether or not we'll get the answer we're looking for.
I have to say, that is my pet peeve, that intersection, to the point where my 16-year-old granddaughter, I told her she was never allowed to drive on that road, Leeway, and try and get
Do
on.
that.
I said, because you're looking one way at the traffic, and then there's somebody wanting to cross. It's dangerous, and speeding is out of control. Out of control. It's terrible, and we've got to do something about it. We want this town to be walkable and safe, and it's frightening. It really is. I'm not exaggerating. I think we would all agree it's a shame, but it's true. And I wish we had better signage at crosswalks. So I know we were dealing with state roads all the time when we're talking about these things, but we've got to do something.
And the chief might also need a new speed trailer. That's what I heard. The chief might also need a new speed trailer. That's what I hear. So that may be in the budget next year, because I know that this one is was gotten out of mothballs or whatever, and I saw it over on Giles Street the other day, but it may need a replacement. So that was all my comments. Any other comments? You don't have anything to say? Shocking.
I know, out of character.
Out of character. All right, in that case, anyone have any other input after, or not? Okay. In that case, may I have a motion for closed session?
Okay, I actually do have something to say.
Oh.
I move that the portion of the meeting will be closed under the provisions of the Maryland Open Meetings Act, General Provisions, Article 3, Section 305B1. The topics of discussion will be to discuss the appointment of officials to the town boards, commissions, and committees. The reason for closed session discussion of the above topics will be because public discussion of candidates' names, qualifications, experience, and background could discourage people from volunteering for public service or compromise their privacy rights.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. And do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Commissioner Chance. All right, so we will be, first of all, having a vote on this. Mike?
For the vote to go into closed session, Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Chance,
Aye.
and Chair Edding.
Aye. And we will not be returning to open session other than for the purposes of adjournment, so we have finished our open meeting for this evening.